everybody. Happy Wednesday. And it's Wes McDonald here with my good buddy, Kenneth Edmonds. As always, how are you, Ken?
I am fine. How about yourself?
Oh, not too bad. I know that we were having a little giggle here before the show because, for most people that realize Ken and I don't spend all of our time doing live streams, it's that we actually have customers and things that we talk to. And I just had an amazing call with one of my clients that was running a little overtime because the conversation was going so good. And I literally jumped in and started the stream about 30 seconds before going live. So there you go, a little behind the scenes understanding of time management and live streams.
Well, I was going to say, from my perspective, we were going to do like Where's Waldo, but we're going to do Where's West? Hey, West, where are you? And, just try to see if we can whistle him up here.
Here we are. That's great. And hey, speaking of, where are you? Where's Waldo? Where are you watching from? This is one Ken likes. And I love it too, because we have people that do tune in from all over the world. And certainly let us know where you're from, where you're watching from. It's always interesting to see some of the different places that people are tuning in from, right? And of course, as always, if you have any questions or comments or things that you want to contribute, do so. That's one of the great things about live streams. If you agree or disagree or have some other data points or anything else, we'd love to hear those. So it looks like we got somebody on Facebook. If you are on Facebook, for some reason it hides kind of who you are. So you can either let us know who you are just, with your name and hello, let us know where you're from and what you're doing out there.
Yeah. And you got to tell us where you're from. That's kind of a requirement. This is probably the longest string of time between us that we've both been in our home offices. Now, you're in a different home office than you were a while back, but we've both been here working from home for a while, which is very different.
What do you think, everybody? This is the new digs. So I've had a few comments already from people with, Tanya Stone in Sunny Cedar Rapids, and we got Mr. Greg Walters in too. Hello, Tanya. Good to see you.
Yeah. Hey, guys.
You'll notice the picture of the Queen back there, right? And because I'm Canadian, we're obviously still, I don't know what you call us. We're a sovereign nation or whatever, but we still have the Queen on our money and we still like her. And that picture back there is actually from an old high school. My wife's a big fan. And if you haven't seen The Crown, then watch it. But no, it's not up there because it has to be. It's up there because my wife wants it to be.
Well, no, okay. So that was absolutely a misstatement, Wes. Because if your wife wants it up there, it has to be up there.
Yes, it's true. Yeah. You got to keep the people you love in your life happy, right?
That's exactly right.
Hey, and speaking of home office and stuff, that's really what we're going to dive into today. And it's really to talk about this thing that's not going away. Ken, as you know, I lead this, top 100 group for Tiger Paw every week. And we get into a lot of conversations about, everything, right? Greg Walters is on that call quite frequently. And there's almost not a topic that we don't cover. But what I find interesting and have found interesting since we've started the group is that when we're going through, and we're still going through this great experiment about remote work, how much of it's going to stay, how much of it's going to go, whether it's better to work in a home office or to work in an office, right? I mean, that debate just rages, right? And it's not going away. That's one thing I've discovered in these meetings is that people are, hey, Paul, welcome from Princeton. This debate is not going away, that there's still, this need, right? And I was reading an article just yesterday about Airbnb and kind of their policies towards remote work. Did you see that one, Ken? Where they've actually
I didn't.
Yeah. I mean, they've actually laid out 5 very simple bullet points about how people can work for them, right? And needless to say, at least for their model, it's not going anywhere. They say that people can work from where they want to within their given country, and that they will not be penalized for their earnings regardless of where they live, because that's always an issue, right? You generally get paid more money if you live in Chicago because of cost of living than if you do in Cedar Rapids. That's just a little plug there for you, Tanya. But their philosophy is no, you get paid the same for, work for work, right? They do have office locations, and if you want to go there when you need that time to go there, and then you can do that as well, right? So it certainly does not seem that it's going anywhere. And in our world, in the Office Equipment Channel, we've been grappling with how to deliver managed print. And Ken, you and I are both fanatics for flat rate, right? I love
Yep,
flat rate.
absolutely.
I think it can be used in almost any model, but I'm also, the kind of person that wants to have a conversation, right? So when it comes to remote work, they're generally going to have smaller devices, right? They're going to have some smaller HPs or Lexmarks or Brothers or some of the Epson devices. I know that Xerox and Toshiba and Konica Minolta all have smaller platforms now as well. So there's going to be a lot more of those in those locations. Different kind of supply items, different kind of needs, right? So that's one of the things I want to dive into today is kind of look at the different models and see what happens there, right? And Tanya's fun. She says, Greg, you just have to be special joining on 2 platforms. I love it. Yeah, last time we had him on, he was actually on 3 platforms and looking at the different ways that it works. So, yeah, I'll be curious too. So we look forward to the field notes from Greg Walters on whether he prefers Facebook, YouTube, or LinkedIn, because we are broadcasting on all 3 channels, right? Yeah. So I don't know, Ken, if there's anything else you want to add to that before we get started.
Well, I was going to say, just as I watch the feeds on LinkedIn and pretty much anywhere people are talking about business, I don't see anybody that thinks that this hybrid environment's going away. I think there's pretty much everybody's agreed that for most companies, there are going to be some hybrid, some in the office, some that come and go.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like preferences for food, right? Because I know that we love to really put things in canisters. So I have spoken with people that have said hybrid work sucks. We need to get back to the office to getting back to normal, getting back to the way that things should be. If somebody has to work from home, they're not going to work for me, right? And then you get the other camp, the other extreme, which is no, offices are dead, right? They're the pariah, that stops us from being more productive, and home office is really the way to do it, because then we have this great life balance and everything else. But just like food, like I know people that won't eat cilantro because it tastes like soap to them, right? I love cilantro. Like if I'm having like a Turkish dinner or even Indian cuisine, I'm telling you, man, little cilantro and world's your oyster. But my son can't touch it.
So here's one of the things about cilantro. Put some in some chicken soup. It's amazing. It is great in so many ways. I cook a lot of Thai food, and I use a lot of cilantro.
Me too. But again, it's not for everybody, right? So you can't sell steak to a vegan, and it's like So I don't think there is a right or wrong. I think what's going to happen is that this great experiment now, at least we're going to start seeing what this mix is going to look like, right? And I don't think we're there yet. One of the other common topics that comes up in the top 100 meetings I do is hiring and retention, right? And that it's become almost essential, regardless of how our organization feels, to be able to offer that, at least in their packages, is to let people know that they are flexible, that there is room to be able to work from home, right? But of course, things are different, and especially on the print side. And let's see here. So Greg Walters, I'm pretty sure this is Greg, right? Hybrid is more likely to be replaced by completely work from anywhere. Yeah, that's another interesting concept. And really, when I say hybrid, it could mean that, a certain portion of the workforce is working from anywhere, anywhere all the time, right? And another group that I belong to on Thursdays, I belong to an MSP group, and a couple of the folks that are on there have actually moved their business into a van, like one of those travel vans, living in a van as they, kind of travel around at work, right? And some of the challenges that come with that too. But nonetheless, talk about the great experiment. It doesn't get any greater than, having your office in a van, which is in a different, a different place every few days, right?
Well, exactly. And, and a good example is down by the river. How about on the river or on the ocean? Because so many times, I've come live to you and I'm on a cruise ship somewhere, and it's just like normal. The all depends on, as long as you've got a good connection, what you and I both do doesn't have to be done from any one spot.
No, for sure. Right. And I was on actually a live stream for Earl Everson this morning, and I was on another one two of them actually yesterday afternoon on LinkedIn, right? Because I can consume that while I'm doing work, much like it would a podcast, but people can also deliver it because of how accessible and inexpensive bandwidth has become, right? So I think it really is a game changer. And the other thing is we get to see each other, right? I am so surprised sometimes. I think more of us should do video. I mean, that's my video rat, right? Simply because platforms like this allow us to, get rid of one of those things that's very difficult with remote work, which is getting to see each other, right? And not just in like a boardroom Zoom meeting when we talk about Zoom fatigue or things like that. It's generally from those big meetings, right? But these small, more intimate kind of settings where we're having conversations and things. I think it's just wonderful, right?
Well, it's interesting because I'm like you. I do a lot of these. I do a lot of interviews for my travel channel, and it is so nice to be able just to have two people have a conversation, without the structure of like a meeting. And I don't find that tiring. It's just like you and I were sitting in the living room having a chat. That's what we're doing here, except our living rooms are in different places.
I know, but look, like the little dividing line there, but we're actually right beside each other. Yeah, we have a conversation at least once a week, right? And
at least,
yeah. I mean, and here we are doing it again. All right. So why don't we dive into some of this? And I'm curious to hear how other people feel about this or what they've seen, right? First, let's look at, we're going to do the versus game today, right? So we're going to do some verses of, different ways to build for things for these remote workers. And if there's any dealers on the call, I'd be interested to hear your comments or those that work with dealers that are helping with their programs, certainly anyone that's been going through this, right? And on the flat rate versus cost per page side, let's play a little devil's advocate, Ken. So you're going to be the flat rate proponent, and I'm going to be all cost per page. Are you ready?
So I get to choose the winning side?
Yes. Well, maybe we'll see what kind of comments come in, right? And so I'm going to throw it out there that the reason that I think, and again, we're role playing here, people. So don't anyone take one of these short video clips of Wes McDonald saying that cost per page is better than flat rate, because I will deny it to my grave. But for today's exercise, I think that the reason cost per page would be better for remote workers is because customers still deserve only to pay for what they use, Ken. Why should they have to pay for, more than they're using, or why shouldn't they just pay for the pages they're consuming? It's been good enough for the last, 20 plus years. It should be good enough, there, right? What do you?
Well, okay. So I won't deny that it has worked. It would still work, but I would say that the distributed workforce makes cost per page even a little more challenging, in the sense that you have the challenge of collecting the meters. If something happens and the meter doesn't get there and you got to send a tech out, who knows where to collect the meter. Whereas in a flat rate, we don't have to worry about that. It just makes it simpler. Now we can watch the usage and make adjustments annually up and down to match the customer's need. But I think that for those reasons, it might be a better choice.
And see, I like what you did there. You sold me, Ken. I'm no longer on the cost per page camp when it comes to remote work. So thank you for that. And you hit on a few really important things there, right? One of them with your, your sales management hat on, I guess, is this idea that it's hard enough to collect meters. We all know this. It's hard enough to collect meters accurately in a centralized office, right? And most of the tools that are out there are still installed at the location, right? That there is one instance of the software which has to be installed. So in one office, that's one thing. But let's say that you've got 50 employees that are working remotely, or 100 or 150, right? And you have to do separate installs for being able to collect those meters. Now, I know that there are some platforms out there which are up and coming, which are more cloud-based, which can get some of that simpler information. So there's still that happening, right? But can you imagine managing those meter groups for all of those locations and the different types of devices? Because that's the other thing, is that there's not, and that's actually a conversation for another episode altogether, standardization, but there is a dog's breakfast out there of the kinds of devices that are being supported in these hybrid offices, right? So could you even get meters for some of them? I don't know, Ken. There's lots of devices out there I've seen that you can't even get meters for. and that's not even A4. Like I'm talking some of the A3 devices, right? So
Yeah,
it's still a problem. And with your service hat on there, you mentioned another really important thing, which is it doesn't say that we're still not going to get meters once in a while, just to make sure that we're making sure that the program is what it should be for the customer. It's just we're not relying on them to get our money every month, right? So
exactly. So if we can go from one service call to another and start to get a really good idea of volume and all the things that are important to us. But again, like I said, because especially with remote work, trying to have a technician where they can go get a meter reading could be a real challenge, especially if somebody's gone to, let's say, Iowa.
yeah,
They might work for a company in New York and the dealer's in New York, but the employee took their device and moved to Iowa to enjoy the cost of living advantage. And I don't know why we're picking on Iowa today, but
I would love to hear people's comments and questions on this, right? I'll tell you a story, Ken. It has nothing to do with managed print, but it has everything to do with managed print, right? So we all have a bank, right? And or several banks. And one of the things that frustrates me is when there's a problem with one of my investments, or every time I'm calling the bank is generally because I have an issue, right? That I'm trying to get something sorted out and fixed. Long gone are the days, other than when we're dealing with our financial advisor to kind of revamp some of our packages. But most of the time, it's because something isn't working, right? In the managed print world, most of the time, again, it's the same thing because something's broken or our meter's incorrect or we don't agree with a bill or whatever, right? And when we simplify things like that and have the ability to free up that time to work with our customers to better service them, to make sure that those contacts are, hey, heaven forbid, sales focused on other things that we're doing, right? That we've only got so much mind share with our customers and that time and that mind share, and I'd much rather use it for opportunities to be able to sell them things to solve other problems they're having, or to better service them. The reason I brought the bank up, I got a phone call from my bank one day, and I thought, oh, here we go. It's going to be some update on credit card increase rates or something. And the rep said, no, just calling in just to let you know that you're spending this much on these transactions and everything else, and I can save you an additional $25 a month if you switch over to this. So I was like, wait a minute. So you called me so I can give you less money, right? And then it struck me, oh, no. They're not making less money, right? Because under the other program, because of the reduced administration, they've worked out the numbers. They're a bank, right? That phone call says to them, look, I'm going to help you save some money because it's going to help us save some money. So we're going to give you some of that back. Does that sound familiar, Ken?
That sounds a little bit like rules-based printing and flat rate billing. Oh, imagine that.
Oh boy. Anyways, thought I'd share that story. Hopefully people can find that interesting. It makes sense in my head, but many things do, right?
Okay, so you brought up something, and this just kind of illustrates the nature of work as well. I have a bank that I've never, ever been to.
Right.
It's in San Antonio. I've never lived anywhere near San Antonio, but I have a bank, and everything we do is remote. And so those same kinds of abilities exist now, for the business. And that's why we're going to see hybrid or remote work be a strong player in our industry, I think.
Yeah. And, it's funny how much, remote capability has come even in a generation, right? I can remember as a child going to the bank with my dad every Thursday. He would go to the bank to pay his bills. He would go there to drop off his bills and, get all that stuff paid. And then I would take whatever allowance that I made, or when I had my newspaper route, to put some money in the bank and everything else. But it was a set routine. And, when's the last time you ever went to the bank to pay a bill? Like, the times change, right? And there we are. So,
okay. My check deposit tool.
Right here. And scanning your checks with your phone now. Do you do that?
Yeah, exactly. Scan it. Like I said, I don't send them. Everything's online.
Oh, the fun we are having. So anyways, flat rate versus CPC, who's the winner? I don't know if anyone on the call wants to comment, but yeah, Ken wins. I think safely. We're not done yet, though, because this is not just a cost per page bashing episode. Now we're going to talk about flat rate versus bundled cartridges. And actually, this one's harder for me, Ken, because I kind of like what's old is new again. You remember back in the day when we first started doing cost per page, there was an alternative model, and people were selling cartridges that included the service and parts, right? So as long as you bought the cartridges, then yeah, you did it yourself, right? So it's interesting to bring this one back because I think it is coming back, right? Let's see. Greg here says, how much paper has been taken out of the banking industry? Yeah, like a lot, right? Yeah. Oh, there you go. He answered the question for me. There you go. Lots.
And I want to go back to that because it was really interesting. When I had my cartridge manufacturing company in Texas, I serviced a hospital, and I got the hospital because I did the bundled service. So they paid $10 extra for a cartridge, and that way every department paid for their service, and they paid based on how much they used it. And again, no meter readings.
Yes, I would say Greg is right. You took away my crescendo, man. Oh, anyways, that's my note on my pad right here. Anyways, yes, I agree. It is the same thing, but we're still going to have the argument.
So, yes. What side am I supposed to take this time?
You're going to be bundled toner versus flat rate.
Well, see, now I think I'm going to win this one again. I think I'm going to go 2-0 here. Because with the bundled service in the cartridge, for every user, they pay for what they're doing. You get rid of the meter readings. You get rid of some of the overhead, some of the challenges. So really, I don't see any problem with the bundled cartridge.
Yeah, and I'll tell you why bundled cartridges suck, Ken. I don't know. For remote work, I don't have an argument because I was chewing on that one when I was thinking of the argument for it, right? And it kind of is a flat rate, right? Now, that being said, it is a little bit like cost per page in the sense that the more cartridges you use, the more that you're going to pay for, right? But it's a lot more stable than a cost per page program where that invoice is different every single month, right? Because I would say honestly that for most remote workers, that they're printing so little that cartridge is going to last them a very, very long time, right? So if they need a cartridge a year, that is a flat rate program. Like that is
$10 a year.
Right. So I do think I really am on the fence with this one, Ken, if it's, flat rate by user or if it's a bundle cartridge for those situations. Because in those assessments that I've done, a lot of those printers that we're supporting simply aren't going to need a resupply in that year, right? So it is a curious thing. So I'm not sure if anyone else has a comment there. No, Greg. Yeah, you win again. Yeah, and I'd say it's actually kind of a tie because I would honestly say if it was a bundled cartridge or a flat rate offering per user, because they really are the same thing based on the limited usage that happens in those environments, I'd say just satisfy the customer. Figure out which is the best way for the customer and get it done, right? So
absolutely.
Yeah. And the other cool thing, I had an interview with Norm McConkey talking about their e-commerce platform, right? And that one of the other things that we don't want to do is have a lot of high touch with these remote locations, right? So this would be a perfect marriage of that kind of thing, right? Even if we had a zero charge for those cartridges going out because it's flat rate, or we're actually charging for those bundled cartridges, it's another one of those situations where the customer can pull the trigger again, right? If it's automatically, based on whatever the cartridge levels are, or if it's self-serve where whoever is in the home office is responsible once they get an alert that, they're down to 10% of their cartridge or whatever, to hit the e-commerce platform and, make sure that they get a new one, right? And I'm going to get in trouble, Ken, because I know people say, oh, people are going to be replacing cartridges long before they're empty, etc. And in these hybrid locations with these smaller devices, I really wonder how important that is, right? Versus service of the customers. So at any rate, but you're on the service side. So, like how much concern should we put into waste? Maybe that's another episode, but
Well, I mean, obviously there's some, and we can some cases we can set the trigger point, and maybe we don't let them do the e-commerce version of it. That we're pulling the data from an agent.
And isn't that model norms ATF? What is ATF? That's automated toner fulfillment. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So set it up how you want, but I think where it really goes is, again, we're seeing that workflow change. It's not a sales rep calling. It's not us getting in touch with the customer to work out that order. It's all happening automatically, right? All right, we got one more, and I know in respect for people's time, we're almost on the half hour, right? So flat rate versus what? What other ways are there out there to be able to service these customers? Like, is there something we're missing? Is there a better, way that's come up? And I want to hear those things, because for people that are servicing customers in the marketplace that have a lot of remote locations, have you come up with an aha moment? Like, here's the best way to service these remote, locations, right? But Ken, it's not like we're living under a rock, right? I have not heard of anything other than these options so far. Have you?
I haven't seen anything that anybody's doing. Talking to all the service managers, nobody's mentioned anything than the things we've just covered. I'm quite sure there probably is somewhere somebody doing it differently, and maybe they're keeping their better mousetrap secret.
Yeah, well, there you go. Well, we will find out, because as we know, after these live sessions are done, people watching, you can still leave your comments in the comment section, and we'll be sure to get back to you with whatever comments that you have. And so I would say that the winner for the day of the billing models is flat rate. So make sure you get certified, and Ken and I would love to help you. There's many ways to do that. One, we can do one-on-one consulting services with you, run through every aspect of your program. That's the expensive model, and only expensive because you get 100% of our time, and it's worth every penny, I would say. The reason I raised that, Ken, I was speaking with someone the other day that said you are expensive, and I would still like to work with you. That's always a good thing to hear, right?
Well, and what I would encourage everybody to think about, because this is one of the challenges that becomes, a viewpoint issue. But if you look at not the expense, but if you look at the value of getting to a better place faster, the question is what's the value of that? Not what's the ROI of spending the little extra and moving quicker.
Sure.
Because it's almost always going to be more money in your pocket if you get the help.
I'm telling you, man, if you want to go to 0 to 60 in less than 4 seconds, I don't know if you've seen how much fuel that takes, but it takes a lot more to go the same distance that it does when you're going 25 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And the second way that you can work for us, because you may already have a program, is to let us work with you to overview what you've done with the program. And we can see if it meets the requirements for flat rate certified. If it does, then you get to use the credential as well. So reach out to us. We have a third way, which is being worked on right now, so stay tuned, which will be kind of like, I don't know what you call it, self-paced online program coming soon. But at any rate, make sure that you get flat rate certified sooner than later. Last one, flatrateworld.com. This is what customers are seeing. They're seeing the advantages of flat rate. And no, we don't talk about cost per page on that page. So there we go. Well, Ken, that was a lot of fun. I think flat rate definitely won that one. I know that Greg, I'll show his last comment because it was kind of cool. At least he's thinking outside the box. Facebook is the best interface, actually. Oh, there we go. So Tanya, if you're still watching, LinkedIn stream is behind a lot. So it's actually lagging. Okay, interesting note. But he did give us another suggestion for an alternative billing model, all in one price at the time of purchase, includes a lifetime of toner. That'd be cool. But I do like that in brackets he put doubtful, right? Because that is, yeah. But I think if you did an assessment, I'm a big fan of assessments, right, Ken? That, if you did an assessment for a customer and you figured out they're only doing 5 pages a month, then there may be an opportunity to sell them that lifetime of toner.
Yeah, the question is defining the lifetime, because you have those customers that hold on to machines for 15 years. And so somebody changing in 3 years compared to somebody in 15 years, that might be a discrepancy that you got to think about.
I know. How long does somebody live, man? Like if it's somebody that lives 102 years versus 70. Anyways, new contract language. And Tanya says, thanks for the evaluation. And Greg says, good job, guys. And thank you for tuning in as always. So
we always love the comments.
Yeah. Every Wednesday, folks, 11 o'clock. We will see you next week. Until then, keep it flat. I just said keep it flat. Here we go.